Hi, I'm Joe Rapone. Thank you for having me. I want to share with you a simple idea. It's simple and it's achievable, and yet it can revolutionize what we see today with myopia. I'm going to try and convince you as best as I can that myopia is not a benign condition, and I'm going to explain to you how this idea came about. I'm going to share some data with you, and I'll leave you with the design of our pivotal clinical trial that we're running to validate the technology. So a little bit about Sightglass Vision. Our mission is to develop innovative products to stop myopia. We have an extensive clinical development program, including our pivotal trial called Cypress, that we're looking forward to our one-year results in Q2 of next year. It is very obvious that myopia is increasing, both in severity and in prevalence. There's lots of data out there. It's likely due to the increases in near work, and also due to the fact that we're spending more and more time inside as a society. In 10 years, there's going to be 3.5 billion myopes on the planet. It's a big number. And this is increasing at such an alarming rate that it's now become a key priority for the Chinese government. So we believe that we're going to see a shift in clinical practice from myopia correction to prevention of progression, and we think that's going to be the next big thing in our industry. So for those of you in the room who may not be familiar with myopia, it is when the eye is too long for the optics of the eye. When a child develops, their eye needs to grow in order to match the optics of their eye, and this is controlled through visual stimuli at the retina level. And this is very, very well known, but if this process continues, the patient becomes myopic because the eye gets too long. And when the eye gets too long, there's stretching of ocular tissue, which can increase the risk of diseases like glaucoma, retinal detachment, and myopic maculopathy. And so I don't want you to think that these are conditions just of high myopes. So if you look at the graph on the screen here, you can see that as the severity of myopia increases, there's an exponential increase in the prevalence of myopic maculopathy. So every diopter of myopia really does matter. This is an example of a patient who became myopic at age 7, and then they became highly myopic by the time they were a teenager. The goal of myopia management is to intervene early enough on such that you can change the course of the disease and thereby affect the final level of myopia so that you can reduce the risk of these ocular comorbidities that I discussed before. So how does Sightglass Vision technology work? It works very simply by controlling retinal contrast. So if you think about it, the outdoor natural world tends to have much less contrast than our indoor environment. And we believe that it's high retinal contrast that's causing myopia to increase. So let me tell you how we got there. There are some genetic conditions that actually cause the eye to essentially have a constant state of high contrast on the retina. And patients with these conditions, such as born-home eye disease, congenital stationary night blindness, they tend to develop myopia. There are other genetic conditions in which the exact opposite happens. So there's actually a state of low contrast on the retina. An example of this is achromatopsia. And what's really interesting is that these patients typically become hyperopic, the exact opposite. So this led us to the hypothesis that retinal contrast is actually causing myopia, and if we reduce retinal contrast to levels that are more natural, we could reduce myopia. So I want to tell you that there are other ideas about how myopia develops, but all of the optical interventions that have been shown to decrease myopia development all decrease contrast. And so we think that this is very important. Our technology works in a focus-independent manner. I want to talk to you really quickly about two of our clinical studies. The top one is our PALM study that we use to demonstrate proof of concept. The graph on the left shows control eyes that continue to increase in myopia over the 3-month course of the study, whereas the graph in the middle shows the contralateral eyes that were wearing the Sightglass lens had a significant decrease in myopia progression on the order of 90% over the course of the study. The walnut study on the bottom was the study that we ran to determine which of our designs we should bring into our pivotal trial. All of the designs were well tolerated. Maybe the most interesting part of this study, though, was that we actually found a trend towards a reduction in axial length after the subjects wore the lenses for only 2 weeks. This is the design of our CYPRESS pivotal trial. It was stringently designed, and it is a double-mask study, and so that's why I'm not showing you specific images of the lenses. We have several different advantages for our technology. We have data coming soon, and this is our team. Thank you very much.